So things got a little weird last night. I had my first
God.
ever dream about USfanTV, about this stupid show.
Oh no.
Um, so it's like, 7:50 our time, and you're texting me, I'm ready, let's do this. Here's what I want to talk about. And I'm like, okay. And I'm at some sort of community college because that's where I do the show, obviously, is at a community college and not in my laundry room. And uh, I go into the classroom where I had done the show, and my camera and my mic and my laptop aren't there. And it's getting, closer and closer to showtime. And like Christian and Leipzig and Douglas, they're all lining up to watch the show, and they're wondering where we are, and I can't get it on the air. And so I go into this one classroom where I see, the stereotypical college professor. He's got, the elbow patches, and he's got a beard and like tweed and like big brown curly hair. And
I've got a corduroy blazer and a pipe. Should I get those on for this
no, it'll
story?
scare me. It'll freak me out. So I said to him, Mr. Professor, sir, have you seen my camera and mic and computer? I really need to do USfanTV. And he looks at me, and I don't know whether he was autistic or Dutch, but he was very blunt. He said,
Those are the only two options.
You left it here. You shouldn't have left it here. You know it could have been stolen. You are a failure. What does this mean?
I can think of what it means, but
so there you have it.
I don't think you needed a professor in a dream to tell you that you're a failure by this point.
Speaking of people who are not failures, boom, nailed that segue. The U17s beat Mexico 4-3.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's what you call
boys.
a segue. Yeah, big win. If you haven't seen the goal that Josh Sargent scored, his first goal, one that tied the game up, because Mexico had scored early on in like 40th minute or something. It was a few minutes before half. Sargent tied it up. He gets the ball at the edge of the box and does this little flip over his shoulder. He kind of I think it actually hits his head as he like spins. He manages to turn the defender and then just take a wide open path straight to the goal. For a 16-year-old, it's pretty impressive. Of course, the interwebs are already going nuts that, oh, he's the next superstar for U.S. soccer. Hold on a minute. This is awesome. He's already got 3 goals now. I can't remember if he had an assist as well in the first game. I think he did. Maybe he had a goal and 2 assists. I can't remember now, but he had 2 goals and an assist in this game. He certainly looks good. Having said that, I also saw Freddie Adu pull pretty much a similar move against Brazil when we wiped the floor with them in the, like him and Josie in the, it might have been U20. I can't remember if it was U17 or U20 World Cup. So
I was gonna say Josie looked like fucking Pele at one of these tournaments too.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
10 years ago,
Josie and Adu against Brazil in I can't. I'll say maybe it was the U20s. It could have been 17s. I can't remember anymore. But yeah, the two of them, like they were doing things like just tricks, like flipping the ball around players and things. I think it was Freddie Adu had the ball in the corner, managed to do the same kind of flip around, take the flip it over his shoulder, scoot around the defender, and then cross it into the center, and Josie headed in or something like that. So I'm not gonna say that he's like the next Christian Pulisic or anything yet, or the next oh, here we go, we've got Ginger Messi. But
it was cool.
It was definitely cool. It's cool that we have, this is now back-to-back big-time wins over Mexico at the youth level. Maybe you could say that while Mexico is surpassing us at the senior level, we are surpassing them at the youth level finally. So that's certainly a promising thing. I don't take this so much as, oh, this is like Josh Sargent's first step into fame. He's not even a professional player yet. I mean, he did go on trial at Schalke. I think it was back in January. But he wasn't signed or anything. He is only 16, so let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. To me, what's cool about all this, or what's exciting, is that we are bringing along a bunch of guys who are showing actual talent and actual soccer knowledge, and they have actual skill out there. We're not just an athletic team anymore. We're not just trying hard. We're not just playing for the badge and all. We're actually playing well. So I think that has to bode well for our chances, especially when you look at things like Bruce Arena's comments about our ability to consider ourselves in the conversation for a World Cup starting in 2026.
We've considerably upped our game at the youth level in the last 10 years, and it's paying off now. So, this was the first time we beat Mexico in this tournament ever at this level, right?
Yep.
That's tremendous. And
it was I think Mexico was on a 25 game unbeaten streak or something like that at the 17 level, which means it's got to spill over to other U17 teams. And we ended that. We secured our position into the next round. We're sure to finish top of this group, which certainly puts us in a good position to qualify then out of the next round, you would presume. Which puts us in a good position then. If we finish, I think it's at least the top two positions go to the World Cup. I can't remember what it is beneath that. So we have those. I think there's probably a good chance we're meeting up with Mexico again in the final of this tournament. At that point, who cares? Because both teams, it's a nice trophy, but who really cares? You're playing to make the World Cup. And as long as you made it to the final, you've already guaranteed that, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think you still got to try to beat Mexico, though.
Oh, of course. I mean, there's never going to be a U.S.-Mexico game that is just an absolute friendly, doesn't matter. I mean, even that game in San Antonio, which was probably one of the least, aggressive atmospheres for a U.S.-Mexico game, was still...
Yeah, that was a pretty friendly party, that game. That was not...
Yeah, that was not like other U.S.-Mexico games. Certainly other games we've been to, but even just other U.S.-Mexico games that, like in Phoenix when Dirty Sanchez tried to tackle Eddie Johnson after Donovan scored. And I think Rafa Marquez did tackle him. There was nothing like that where, just for no reason they're going to slide tackle guys and I just get away with it. This was a much friendlier atmosphere, but at the same time, these games are always there's still a little bit of an edge there. Each side still wants to get one over. We were still chanting Dos a Cero in San Antonio. So, I think both sides will be trying to. If they meet up in the final, I think both sides will definitely be trying to bring this one home.
All this is great. Love seeing this at the youth level, but I would trade both of these wins for a win at Azteca.
Or even just to go back and have one in November
to erase that one from the either one would be more important in my view than these two, but that said, I like them, they're great, but it only matters at the senior level to me. So truly matters. These are good wins, but the senior level is what counts, and that's where the bragging rights are, and we'll see in June. I suspect if Mexico wins in June, they will say the same thing to us. Screw you. You guys might youth level, but whatever, because we beat you twice in qualifying. So let that happen.
You only made the last World Cup because of us. So
Sanzusi.
Yeah. Julia Roberts was at Bernabeu, really?
Yeah, she was. She got her picture with Ronaldo and with Messi.
Jesus, come on.
She seemed to be like...
It's just not fair.
She seemed to be into it too. Like maybe she's probably just there shooting a movie or something.
I mean, I gotta say though, if you're in an atmosphere like that, I think it's hard to not be in it. Sort of like, the U.S. always gets a huge number of soccer fans for the World Cup. Kind of like everybody becomes a fan of, like, I don't know, sculling or whatever in the Olympics. It's suddenly all these sports that, like, you might not care about otherwise, but suddenly you're totally into. I think if you're in that atmosphere, in that stadium for such an important game, and then to see someone like Messi and to see him play the way he did, I can't imagine, you don't get kind of caught up in that somehow.
Come on, Douglas. San Diego is Wales' vagina, not Wales' penis. you know this. And yes, they are. Their plan is completely free of tax money. Like even like you hear plans sometimes that are technically free of tax money, but still have credits or breaks or TIFs or something like that. This one seems legitimately entirely privately funded. So
St. Louis is completely free of tax money now.
They are. Yes, that's true. So good for Landon. And hey, Landon, I know you watch. The invitation still stands, man. You could come on this show and talk about the San Diego plan. We'd love to have you.
You can talk about anything you want.
Landon, go ahead. The floor is yours. Speaking of things that happened this isn't really a thing that happened. The last thing wasn't a thing that happened in Mexico. It was a thing that happened to Mexico. But this is a thing that happened in Mexico. Our boy Omar Gonzalez might be facing off against Ronaldo.
Vamos Pachuca.
In the Club World Cup next year because they won CONCACAF Champions League last night.
Yeah.
How does it feel? Your first major tournament win as a diehard 3-month-old
that was
Pachuca
cool.
fan.
I can say that I'm not just a bandwagon fan now. That was cool. It was cool that after I don't know if everybody's seen the video. It's been all over Twitter, so I assume you have. But after Omar lifted the trophy,
yes,
his daughter came running up. So then he lifted her the trophy, got all the fans to cheer for him and stuff. That was pretty funny. It's cool to see. It's good for him. It's nice to see nice to pick a winning team. I don't know. When I started supporting Arsenal, this was 30 years ago. I don't remember if I had picked them because I don't remember exactly what year it was, so I can't say if it was the year that we won the league or not. But it was it was the late to mid 80s where mid to late 80s I should say, where it's we had a good season, but we were kind of a mediocre team, a lot of boring Arsenal still. I just picked them because it wasn't everyone else. I remember the day that we all picked our teams. It was my soccer team at the time, and everybody had to come out. Who do you like? Who do you like? Who do you like? And everybody's like Man U and Liverpool. I was just trying to not pick those two because it was I'm not going to be like everyone else. But I still wanted to pick somebody that I could watch on TV. In this case, it was nice to pick a team that won something. Well, I should say Arsenal turned out to be an awesome choice for a few of those years, number of those years. But lately, my team kind of sucks. Not a lot of fun to watch. Even the victories feel kind of like defeats. It's nice to have a winning team that I support.
Leipzig says finger in. That might be his best troll job ever.
Yes, Simon, I picked Arsenal. I was about 10, 11, 12, somewhere in there. My soccer team at the time. I think I remember where we were. I think we were having a tournament. At the club where I played on the grounds, we had a clubhouse or whatever. It was an old schoolhouse, and the only time we were ever shoved all in one room, because it was a 3-room schoolhouse or something, and the only time we were ever shoved in a room there was when there was some reason, it was probably storms, or maybe it was an all-day tournament and it was cold. I don't know what happened, but for some reason we were all stuck in this one tiny room, and so we were all just sitting there oh, who do you like? And there were a few guys who liked Man U and a few guys who liked, of course it was the 80s, so there were a number of guys who liked Liverpool, and I was like, I'm not going to do that. And I still thank God I didn't choose Liverpool, because everyone I've ever known from Liverpool, sorry if we have any viewers from Liverpool, everyone I've ever known from Liverpool personally was an asshole.
Jack is from Liverpool, but he's an Everton fan. So
okay. Well then, I will say
correctly.
I've never had a problem with anyone who was an Everton fan. All the Liverpool supporters I've known have always just been ass. I take that back. I did have one friend I can think of who was a good guy who liked Liverpool. But everyone I've ever known from Liverpool who was a Liverpool supporter, just complete asshole. I hated them as people. Anyway, so that's how I chose Arsenal 30 years ago or something.
Jeez, so we should get back to Omar and Brooks here in a second.
Yes,
but
that was
Simon brought up the name.
Way off.
Simon brought up the name Gideon Zalalem. Yeah, I don't remember how excited we were when. I was ecstatic when the thing went through that allowed him to play for us, and
here
we are 2.5 years later, and he has not played for
I
us yet.
think he's farther away than he was then.
And he's also probably not going back to Arsenal after this
I
loan.
don't think so. He needs to move anyway. I mean, really, to go to like second division Danish league, is that where he is now?
Dutch.
Okay. I was like, I know the name of the team, but I can't even say where they're from. I mean, yeah, it's such a step down really for where from where you'd like to see him. Even if he had played as well, I mean, he wasn't bad in Scotland, but he wasn't like as good as say Hindman is right now. And for guys of roughly the same age, I mean, there's a couple of years difference I think between them, but they're kind of that same age group, I think you could say. You wanted to see him be kind of the star that Hindman has become at Rangers, and I don't know. I mean, to me, he's got to go somewhere where he's going to play and he's going to get some confidence and he's going to look good, and then you can start lining up other stuff. Part of the problem I think with him still is he's never gotten kind of an adult body, sort of. So he's
very skinny.
He's still too light, and for a guy who wants to play the ball on the ground and be intricate and have nice touches and things, you got to be willing to take some hits. Or I shouldn't say willing, you got to be physically capable of taking hits. And I don't think he is still yet.
Okay, so Omar wins a trophy. He wins a lot of trophies. Got to give him that. Is he the replacement for Brooks this summer if Brooks is actually really, really hurt? I think yes.
I'm not sure he's the direct replacement. It may be that Cameron moves over and he is Cameron's replacement.
Maybe, yeah.
But maybe that's splitting hairs. I do think right now he's got to be considered like our number 3 center back option. Who's on the left of that? Who's on the right? Maybe that you can debate. To me, maybe you go Cameron to the left because I think he's just an all-around more complete player. So I'm willing to give him kind of any spot there. But yeah, I think right now you consider him our probably number 3 center back option. And if Brooks doesn't return, which by the way, I haven't seen anything more. Have you seen any more about how his hip, what the results are on his hip?
No.
Okay, so I mean, we're still looking at, in theory, no matter what the injury is, he could be back to play by our games this summer. But you're also only looking at now a month and a half, and that if it's any sort of if there's any kind of surgery or any kind of time off, like he has 3 weeks where he can't really train or something, that's putting a big hurt on him getting ready for this summer.
Mike says he's done for the rest of the Bundesliga, so
I assumed he was. I mean, I think everyone kind of expected that anyway, because realistically, Hertha can't finish. I think it may still be mathematically possible for them to finish better than 5th, but it's pretty unlikely. They're pretty much locked in at the 5th spot. So I don't think there's a need to rush him back then, because realistically, what are they going to get from it? Potentially injuring him more and keeping him out longer, or screwing him up long term or something. I think they'd rather just kind of take their lumps and see what else they have and move on. So yeah, I wasn't surprised. I think it was pretty well expected that he was going to be done when they've only got 4 games left. I think there's just no need to rush him back if you're not. If you were qualifying, if you were potentially, playing for the title, okay, but they're not. They're not even close. And what else do you have to play for? So yeah, I'm not surprised that he's done. It's just a matter now of how long is the injury going to take to recover, and what does that mean for his preparations for this summer? So in that regard, yeah, I think Omar, playing well, playing consistently for a good team is certainly going to benefit him. And I think he is probably locked in as our number 3 starting center back right now.
Bruce is either on his way to or is in Germany to talk to Hamburg about Bobby Wood. And I think he wants to put a stamp on guiding Bobby Wood either to another club or getting him a new deal there. I wonder if he swings by and talks to Brooks and sees where he's at. I wonder if Hertha's going to say, not that they could stop him, but I wonder if they're going to lobby to stop him from playing this summer if they think he's still on the fence, because you don't want to make it worse. I could see that coming into play too. So, if you're already over in Germany, maybe you swing by and see how your other guys are doing too. I know he did that once before. So we'll see.
Will he talk to Timmy Chandler this time?
Didn't he last time?
I thought he didn't.
I can't remember now, because I thought he did, and I remember being surprised that he did, but maybe he didn't. Speaking of Timmy Chandler, there's another segue. We are on fire with the segues tonight. We are going to get the All-American matchup in the German Cup final. It's going to be Dortmund and Christian Pulisic. Hopefully he starts. Got a little stretch here where he's been coming off the bench.
Or the Captain America Crapton America matchup.
And Timmy Chandler for Frankfurt. Dortmund's like an 85% favorite to win that. So it would be pretty sweet to see Christian lift some silverware at 18 years old for a major German club. It'd be even better to see that he starts. I will say this, even when he doesn't start, he always plays. He almost always plays. So that's good. And he's still, 18. So the tweet from his dad was pretty funny too. No beer, CP. Oh, did we lose you, Chris?
I got a phone call, so interrupted my iPad.
Clearly people don't realize that you're live on USfanTV right now.
I mean, come on. Why aren't they watching? They'd know what I'm doing.
Jameson's sad that we're talking about Bayern. Sorry, Jameson. That game was amazing, though. It was really good. I know people were pissed at the non-penalty call, the Bayern fans were, but you got 5 minutes of stoppage in a game that clearly did not have 5 minutes of stoppage. So
they definitely got a little bit of Man U treatment there.
Mike, I mean, I agree with you. Tuchel needs to start Pulisic more. Obviously, from what we've seen, he's been a huge boost to the team when he plays. So, and, we're Americans, so we're selfish and we want to see him start more. So, yes, I completely agree with you. What else? What's on the list?
Other news from the Bundesliga. Aaron Johansson is probably going to leave Werder Bremen. Not that I think this is a surprise to anyone. I mean, he said, I need to play, and I can't. He's basically got no chances since he's recovered from his latest injury. With his injury history, and I can't tell if it's truly that he gets injured too much, or if it's really that he just kind of has had bad luck. Like the injuries that he's had have been bad or have lasted, and then it's just kind of been bad timing for him.
Do we think he's coming here?
Well, there are a lot of people who are asking if he could come to MLS. I've seen people on Twitter asking, what's the allocation order? Because would he fall into that as a national teamer?
He's not a designated player, is he? At this point, I mean, he's really low on the pack.
So yeah, I would think he's not. I would think he doesn't carry the, national team kind of. The national team card to get him, access here. So I don't know that this is where he goes. Maybe he goes back to Holland. Maybe he comes to MLS. I mean, it's not going to hurt him. I don't know that it's the best place for him. I think by his kind of technical style, I think is still suited to someplace else. But there are at least some U.S. fans who would like to see him.
I just want to see him playing. I don't really care where he goes, honestly. Simon says that Klopp is interested in buying Pulisic after the Gold Cup. I mean, we've heard that rumor before. It makes sense. We know Klopp is obviously a fan. Pulisic would fit well into the Liverpool system. We both hate Liverpool, but I like Jurgen Klopp, and if he has to leave Dortmund, I don't want him to. If he has to, maybe that's an okay move. I would still rather him stay.
Yeah, I'd rather he stayed. He
it's
actually
a bigger
wouldn't.
Club, I think, Dortmund than Liverpool at this point.
Well,
so.
and realistically, he's assured Champions League football there. Liverpool might this season. I mean, but there's still a chance that Arsenal could get in there. And then who the hell knows who's going to finish in the top three? I could probably guess at the teams. But, I mean, I can guess at two of them, I bet.
Unfortunately, we can guess two.
Yeah. But, of that other, like probably that third spot, could be Man City, could be Liverpool, could be Man U. I don't know. So I would rather see him stay at Dortmund. One thing, it shouldn't be a problem for him to get a work permit because he actually holds is it a Czech passport?
I think
based on where his family's from.
Yeah, he's got a Eastern European passport of some kind because of the Pulisics.
The Pulisic, I think is how it is.
His middle name, which this is hilarious. It's Mate. So there have been jokes that Liverpool would be perfect for him because his middle name's already Mate, but it's Mate is the way it's pronounced. I think that's a family name from Serbia or wherever his family is from as well. So,
it's Croatian. I think it's Croatian is where his passport's from. I'm like, I know it's a country with a C. I just couldn't think of what it was. I'm pretty sure it's Croatia. Either way, yeah, he has a European passport already, so he should be fine. At this point, I think even under the old rules, getting into the EPL, I think at this point he could probably pass them because he's already a regular player for the national team. He's going to be over the summer. By the time the fall would roll around, I would think that he would already have met the requirements. What is it, like 75% of your national your national team games for the last 2 years or something like that? And he's got to be getting close to that at this point.
Doesn't it also have to be the team has to be a certain ranking in FIFA? Are we high enough for that to work? I don't remember what the rules are. And are those rules going to change with Brexit? Are we going to have that for another season? I haven't heard. There was always speculation that would change, but I haven't heard of anything changing as far as that goes. So Simon says top 70. Okay, so we've fallen, but I think we're safe there. So yeah, he can make that happen. I just don't think he should. I would rather see him stay at Dortmund than Liverpool. There was some debate. We've debated whether the Bundesliga is better or the Premier League's better. The competition at the top end of the Premier League, as far as the uncertainty of who's going to win the title, is better. But watching the quality of the soccer at the top end of the Bundesliga versus the top end of the Premier League, like that 0-0 draw today between the Manchester teams, I would take a Bundesliga match over that any day. And I think that on top of that, because of ticket prices, the atmospheres at the English stadiums have died, except probably Liverpool, compared to what you see in Germany, where it's, Germans love to chant and wave flags. So
Jack, I know if you watch this, I know you said you still think the EPL is better. It's not that I don't think that the top teams aren't better, because you're right. I mean, really, once you get past maybe top 2 to 3 teams in the Bundesliga, the quality certainly falls off, and Bayern is far and away better than everyone. There is more competition. At least you have 6 or 7 teams that can really fight kind of in the EPL. But I do think that all exciting nature of play, there's more action in the German game. I think there's more back and forth. Partially, I think because they do work more young players in and things. There's more up and comers and stuff. So you do see more stuff happening. It's not just a possession game, and it's not just kind of a defensive standoff, which you can kind of see a little bit of both happen in the EPL. So in that regard, I think the games are more exciting. I do think that at least among the top half of the table, there is better quality still in the EPL. But I do think the fan experience, the the action on the field. I think at this point the Bundesliga surpassed the EPL.
They still have cheap tickets. They still have standing sections.
Yeah.
I paid $100 US face value for my Arsenal ticket this time last season. And I was in the top deck behind the goal, so not the best seats. And
think about that.
That's normal. Like,
and that would be something like €10 in Germany.
Right. And that's why the atmosphere is different. I mean, I'll say this though, when I go to a Blackhawks game, I pay more than that. So it's not like American.
That's because you're an idiot to go to a Blackhawks game.
Can't do that these days, I guess. But how many cups you got there in St. Louis? But it's,
hey, at least I was a fan before 6 years ago.
I was a fan in the 90s, like Jeremy Roenick. It's just the atmosphere is dramatically better. So that doesn't mean anything for the quality of play. It just makes it more fun to watch.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has to do with. I will say this: I was watching the Arsenal match the other day when Dortmund and Bayern were playing, and because of the way they had it mic'd, the Arsenal match sounded louder, even though a third of the stadium was empty.
It was silent.
But it was just the way. So sometimes it just has to come down to it comes down to the feed and the production value of the feed. But you could tell that with the standing and the waving flags and everything, that the atmosphere was way better in Germany. So I enjoy both, though, to certain degrees. Also, as far as ticket prices go, I looked today for some upcoming Chicago Fire matches, and I can no longer find them for $8 on StubHub. So Basty's doing his job there.
Things are looking up, yeah. He is getting them 1, maybe 10 steps closer to the World Cup.
If we can only pull it off.
Yeah.
Be amazing. What's left? We've got the Dom Dwyer, and this is a Twitter question. You can send us your questions on Twitter at
Yes, we do love
USfanTV.
getting questions in advance because you guys want to engage with us, and hell, if nothing else, it gives us more to talk about.
It does. We had a question from, I don't have it in front of me, but it's the
Michael W. Michael
W. Yes, I'm sorry. The Dom Dwyer, Timmy Howard spat that was during the game that Timmy said "fuck you" and got suspended. Will this have any impact on Dom Dwyer joining the national team potentially as soon as this summer? And I say probably not, because it was a heat of the moment thing. And we've seen this before with like Josie Altidore and Alejandro Bedoya. They get along well enough.
Yeah, two guys who like say they're friends and things. We're like trashing each other on Twitter.
And nobody has harked anybody in this situation. So
yeah. As far as we know, Sidney LaRue has not fucked Timmy Howard, so so there is no John Harkes situation here. And hey, even Ronaldo still wanted Harkes to go. So yeah, no, I don't see where this would actually cause a problem. But I'm laughing more that you're laughing so hard at that.
That was great. Because I hadn't even considered who his wife was when I made that comment, so it made it all the funnier.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's heat of the moment. It's not like guys don't yell at each other, or, fight in practice and things too. And sometimes disagreements can help things anyway. I mean, Michael Jordan used to tear everyone apart on the Bulls, but. So I don't see where this is a problem. I mean, now Howard is a mainstay in the team. So yeah, he could have more of an effect there if he was truly upset. Part of the thing though with Dwyer though also makes me wonder if maybe there wasn't something more going on in that game. Like, that
seems
he did,
like it.
That
Dwyer
he really
said
went
he didn't
off
know
on
what Timmy was even saying, which maybe that's a way of covering up, but maybe it's true, because it's like, I know it was a competitive game, but what were you so mad about other than losing?
Yeah.
What to direct that?
And fans, like, come on. I mean, he's admitted that he's heard things about his race before. He said, now I didn't hear these things at this game, but he's like, I hear them all the time.
The Tourette's
So
stuff.
that tells me, so you hear way worse stuff and you don't react to
Right.
that, but you did react to these guys. So what set you off then? And then to go into the tunnel and grab somebody, like, maybe this was kind of a one-off thing. Maybe there was just something bad that happened to him, or there was some reason he was just really angry that night. And so it just kind of spilled over into everything.
Consider, and we've talked about this before, and I have no knowledge that this is the case in this situation, but in general, athletes are normal people, and sometimes they have a bad day or something's going on in their personal life that pisses them off, and it boils over in their workplace in front of a bunch of people. So it's possible. Anything's possible. I just hope that it doesn't happen again for Timmy, because I like seeing him play. And there's not going to be many more times to see him play. And obviously at this point he is our starting keeper, and we need him this summer, both for qualification and for the Gold Cup. So although I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't
help him not get hurt, they don't keep him in game shape.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'd rather see him playing than not, because until Gazan gets here and is playing for Atlanta, who is number 2 right now?
Simon brings up Eddie Pope,
could be him, but
who was once captioned in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel as Freddie Adu.
Yes. which made us laugh, because it was like days after we were just I just heard an interview from a reporter at the Journal complaining about how like black people don't play soccer, and there's no reason to cover it. And this was like a reporter who always covered race and things, and then immediately his own paper.
Yes.
Come on. And yeah, it was such like, it was, well, and it was like, and it's Eddie Pope, a guy who played in Milwaukee. He played at UWM and played for the Rampage, so had played here twice. And then I guess I don't know officially if he did, but probably played in the national team game that was played here in Milwaukee like 20 years ago too. So
this is
so
like,
yeah, his
Arsenal
in a sense his
where,
not quite a hometown paper, but almost, yeah.
This
They called him Freddie Adu.
It's like that Arsenal match where was it the Ox who was sent off instead of Kieran Gibbs, or vice versa, because they were black guys and the ref just found one and pointed to it. Yeah, it's not cool. You wanted to bring up the decimation of the staff at ESPN, particularly. I mean, we obviously in lots of areas they decided to fire actual journalists over Screaming A. Smith, but particularly in the soccer area, guys like Doug McIntyre are not there anymore, which you know he'll land on his feet because he's good, but yeah, it's not a good sign.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the real problem is that it's not like they do a ton of soccer coverage anyway. I mean, they have ESPN FC, and now I'm questioning how much of that is going to survive. What are they still going to have there? Are they just kind of ceding that all to SI or to us? I was going to kind of joke about this, like how much of an effect did we have, Pro-Rel have on this?
I think it was probably 75% us and 25% Pro-Rel.
I mean, Pro-Rel is responsible for everything. That is what I've learned from the internet. If only we had Pro-Rel, like everyone would care. Seriously though, one of the things that's kind of made me laugh about all this is that so many people on the internet are complaining like, oh, well, it's because ESPN covers so much soccer, I stopped watching it, it's terrible. And I'm like, how much soccer did you think they were covering? Because they don't do shit anymore. Oh, they cover some national team games. If there's a really good highlight, they'll show it. Much all other coverage they've ceded to someone else. So it's not like they were doing a ton anyway, and now they've just kind of given it all up. So I don't. I think it's unfortunate. I get their point. Behind all the firings, ultimately what they're saying is, look, this is the new way of doing news coverage is not in print or on TV, really. And we're not the fastest anymore. We can't put everything out instantly. And these people are just a drain on our bottom line. So I understand it, but at the same time, it makes me question, what are they going to have for, I mean, I also question, like, what are they going to have of hockey coverage? I mean, they fired basically their entire NHL staff during the playoffs, which seems nuts, but whatever. But, as far as we're concerned, what does this mean to soccer coverage in the U.S.?
I think everyone's just going to come here now.
All
we've already seen our numbers going up. So, I think we've hit the end of this show. What do you guys think? Simon wants you to be the backup keeper. Because you're tall. I'm only 5'11".
I'm not afraid to get hit in ball. I don't know that, and I suppose I can play the ball decently with my feet. I don't know about with my hands. I'm not a particularly good drop kicker of the ball. Never been good at like punting the ball, but I can drop the ball and chip it where it has to go. Bingham, I think, has a shot, but he's had some bad games lately. He's had some big gaffes, kind of like Ronaldo. Ronaldo's also getting old, so I'm not sure who's up next. I'd kind of like to see Will Yarbrough get a chance in the Gold Cup this summer. Who is mistake prone, but he can play the ball well with his feet. And when we're trying to play more out of the back, trying to hold more control, maybe a sweeper keeper isn't a bad guy to have on the roster.
Ricardo asks if Guy with Beer is a soccer coach. We both have actually coached soccer before. Does it make us see the game in a different way? I'll tell you what made me see the game in a different way. It wasn't coaching, but I coached little kids, like 4 and 5 year olds, for a few years, and I had to ref some of those games. And half the time I was making up the call as to who the ball went out on or stuff like that. It gave me a better appreciation for refs. Now, I didn't have an AR or anything like that, obviously, but it does make you realize if I can't get the calls right at this speed, and really most of the calls with little kids, you're just kind of teaching them the game anyway, but you want to get the out of bounds calls right. But if I can't get it right at this speed, I could never do it I'd never be Mark Clattenburg or anything like that, getting a big paycheck. So,
see, now if we had TJ here, he'd give us a 10-minute diatribe on refereeing. There you go, TJ.
Oh,
if you're
sure.
watching.
Right when we're wanting to be done, he'd be like, "Well, I did want to bring up this."
Did coaching change my way of seeing the game? I don't know. I'm actually a pretty decent coach, partially because I can explain what I think I'm just good at explaining things to people and positioning people where I think they're most likely to succeed. I mean, I kind of look at fit for where I want to, like what the team needs, and then I position them accordingly, whether that's what they're comfortable with or not, which, like Klinsmann, for somebody who's bashed him many times.
I was going to say, it sounds awfully like Jurgen.
Did it change my my way of seeing the game? I don't know about that. I mean, I started coaching like as a teenager, and coached off and on for, I don't know, 10 or 15 years, like that. So yeah, the only reason I stopped was that they started requiring more licenses, and I just didn't want to deal with the bullshit of it. Plus, I had some bad parents for a few years, and I was like, I'm not even getting paid at this. They wanted to start paying me, but I was like, yeah, it's not enough money for me dealing with people like this. So thanks, but no thanks.
Actually, they introduced the F license a few years ago for coaching really little kids, and I thought it was good. It's like $25. It's a 2-hour online course, and it's basically like how to set up a practice in an effective way. It preaches the effectiveness of small-sided games and getting kids more touches. and there's a section about how to not get sued or accused of raping a child or getting a child struck by lightning, like stuff that's like, don't spend time alone with a child that's not yours in a car. Make sure another adult is present. I'm like, see where you're going there, Sunil.
I had to give a kid like one of the teenage girls on one of the teams I was coaching. One of the last teams I coached was some teenage girls, and I had to give one of them a ride home one time because her mom didn't show up. Now, fortunately, I knew the family, so it was a little bit safer. But I was like, yeah, this has got to be a little bit weird. And then I have like a 15-year-old girl in my car here all by myself. If I didn't know the situation, I'd think it was weird. Keller was never my favorite keeper because I still think Friedel was better, Simon. But Keller was playing at Leicester City when I was in college in England, and I didn't know at the time that Leicester was so close to where I was going to school. Like, it was 20, 25 miles away, maybe. I would have gone over to see a game had I known that. Like, I would watch games on TV, but I never looked up where it was. It wasn't until later that I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Like, it was a 20-minute train ride. I could have been there.
Clearly, they didn't have geography there.
I went to, I don't know. It's just not a city I would have thought to look up. Like, I'd go over to Nottingham. I went over to Nottingham and saw a game. That was actually the first Premier League I ever saw, was a Nottingham Forest game. It's while Forest was still in the top flight. Forest Westham. That was a train wreck of a game, but it was fun. Ride home. That's what they call it nowadays. Yep.
It's not the best idea. I'll get you on a list.
How did Pat and I meet? He was my intern once upon a time. We both used to work in TV news, and at my last TV station, one of his last TV stations, he started out as an intern, and
I had several after that, actually. But
but one of your last, I said. Like, you had two. Two?
It was actually my first at that point.
Well, first, yes, but it wasn't. I was looking at it towards the end of your TV career. Would have been what you had two more after that, right?
When I met you, 3.
Well, I meant after your second time there, but whatever.
Yes.
Not that this is.
Yes, we worked together at a television station in Champaign, Illinois. I went on to work at other television stations.
I would have given Hope Solo a ride home.
That ends with gunfire or knifing.
She would have killed me.
Yeah, that doesn't. I would say it's better to give a 13-year-old girl a ride home than Hope Solo. You take your chances. I have been on a black
guy from a girl before. Not that I should bring up that story.
Jesus Christ, we're gonna do that now?
Okay, we need to stop. This needs to end.
All right, this is USfanTV. We have a website. It's USfanTV.com. We have Twitter. We have Facebook. We have Instagram. All of it, USfanTV. We don't like Snapchat. We do like YouTube because we do a show here every Tuesday and Thursday night. Subscribe if you haven't. We picked up more subscribers after the last show. We love it. Thank you. Share our stuff. Tell a friend. Huge thanks to Christian, who makes the really cool thumbnails that are on the videos. He's far more talented than we are at that. And people have said they're cool. They are cool. So thank you, Christian. Christian will be getting a USfanTV scarf. He will be getting the very first one after we order them, whenever we do get around to ordering them. Chris, do you have any final words?
I hate Snapchat, and you were done.
Yep, we're Leipzig. We are not on Craigslist either, at least not by name. And with that, you are done.